You think because I'm holding a fan, this review is going to be about this. No, it isn't. Because I just spent £199 on a Sony gadget that cools the back of my neck. Not my room, not my face, the back of my neck. And honestly, that sounds completely ridiculous until you're standing outside in the UK during a heat wave like we've had or having now, or in 40-degree weather in Hong Kong, questioning every life decision that led you to spend this much on a gadget like this. So I started thinking what tech is actually doing in the cooling space, because for the last few years I've been using this, the JisuLife Handheld Fan Ultra 1. It's compact, it's powerful, and it saved me on trains, holidays, and those random moments where the London Underground turns into like a slow cooker. But it's still just air, really powerful air. Just listen to this. If I had hair, it'd be blown back right now. But you have to hold it, and apparently I've now reached a point in my life where holding a fan feels like hard labor. Could I be more lazy? Probably. That is when I stumbled across something Sony just released, the Reon Pocket Pro Plus. It's roughly 2.5 to 3 times the price of my Jisu fan, depending on where you buy it. But this doesn't just blow air at you, it actually cools you down directly. But here's the very British twist, because I won't be only using this when it gets hot, because this is the UK, where the weather has the emotional stability of a toddler. So the real question is simple. Is this genius personal climate control? Or did I just spend nearly £200 trying to outsmart the weather? Let's get into it. By the end of the video, you'll know exactly what the Sony Reon Pocket Pro Plus actually does, how it compares to a proper powerful handheld fan, where it works brilliantly, where it absolutely does not, and whether you should spend your hard-earned money on one. Because this is not a normal gadget. This isn't like buying earbuds or a power bank where everyone immediately knows the use case and fully understands it. This is the wearable thermo device, which is just a fancy way of saying Sony wants to strap a tiny hot and cold plate to your upper back and let science do the rest. And weirdly, the more I used it, the more I realized this might be one of those products that sounds silly in your house, but suddenly makes perfect sense when you're sweating through suits after 5 minutes in the Hong Kong heat. Let's start with a gadget I already trusted. The JisuLife Handheld Fan Ultra 1 is genuinely a little beast. This thing has a 9,000 mAh battery, a crazy number of speed levels, and when you crank it up, it throws some serious amounts of air. Not hair. Anyway, it's one of those gadgets you buy once, throw it in your bag, and then suddenly everyone around you wants to borrow it. I mean, get your own, right? On the tube, it's actually amazing. In a queue at the airport, brilliant. When you're waiting outside a restaurant and there's no breeze at all, it makes you feel like you've discovered fire, but backwards. The problem is the whole idea of a fan. A fan doesn't actually make the air colder. It just moves air around your skin, which helps sweat evaporate. So you feel cooler. That works really well when the air is dry enough and there's space around you. But in thick, humid heat, especially somewhere like Hong Kong or in a UK heatwave, you can actually blast air in your face and still feel like you're standing inside a sauna. Also, and I'm sorry about this, you have to hold it. That sounds like such a small complaint, but if you're carrying like a bag, holding a phone for maps, dragging luggage, drinking water, all whilst trying not to look like a sweaty lost tourist, one hand constantly holding a fan can get annoying very, very quickly. And then for me, there was the wedding problem. A handheld fan is fine when you're walking around in shorts, like I always do, like 99% of the time when it's warm. But when you're dressed up trying to look presentable and pretending you're not melting from the inside, Waving a tiny fan at your face does kind of ruin the classy look. So I wanted something that would cool me without needing my hands. That is where Sony comes in. The Reon Pocket Pro Plus is not a fan in the normal sense. Now that's important. It's not going to blast cold air in your face like a mini air conditioner. Instead, the main unit sits at the top of your back, right around the base of your neck, and a metal plate touches your skin. That plate can get cold and, important for the UK, warm. So rather than cooling the air around you, it cools the part of your body it's touching. Think of it like putting a cold drink against your neck on a hot day, but for that cool sensation to continue for like 5.5 hours. This is where I need to explain why Sony has built it to sit on the back of your neck. Because it intrigued me, and at first it sounded like they could have just picked a random body part and said, yeah, that'll do. So I basically looked it up. Yeah, I know, I have issues. So there is actual logic to it, and I know I'm a bit excited. Your neck is one of the places where temperature changes really feel noticeable. The skin around your neck and upper back has loads of temperature sensitive nerves. So when something cold touches that area, or warm, your brain picks up on it very, very quickly. That is why when you're overheating, putting a cold towel around your neck usually feels so good, right? It's not because your whole body temperature suddenly drops by 10 degrees. That's not what's happening. It's because your brain gets this strong cooling effect from a very sensitive area. And that makes your whole body feel more comfortable. So it's basically the same reason people put ice packs around the neck during sports, or why splashing cold water on the back of your neck feels amazing when you're absolutely roasting. So Sony could technically put this on your arm, your chest, or your waist, but it'd be way less practical. But the back of your neck, I think, is basically the sweet spot. It's close enough to your body to feel effective. It's easy to hide under a collar or a t-shirt. It doesn't get in the way of your hands. And it's an area where a small cold plate can make a surprisingly big difference. The first thing you notice when you put on the Reon Pocket Pro Plus is that it's not invisible. But at the same time, it's not huge. The main unit is 194 grams by itself. And once you add the neckband, which you can shape to the contours of your neck, and the airflow attachment, which disperses the heat away from your body, it doesn't feel like you've got a brick attached to you. It feels more like you're wearing a very light pair of chunky neck headphones, not the AirPods Max 2. Except the important part sits behind you. The neckband hooks around your neck and tries to keep the cold plate pressed against your upper back. And you need to make sure all the contact is there because that's everything. If the plate is sitting perfectly against your skin, the cooling effect feels immediate. If it does shift away even slightly, the magic totally disappears. But to be fair, the neckband does a really good job of keeping it on your back. So this is not like a fan where you can just point it vaguely at your face and get the benefit. This needs that physical contact. So getting the right fit really matters. With a normal t-shirt, I found it pretty easy. You slide it around your neck, tuck the neckbands under the collar area, and it just sits against the skin. I guess with a shirt, if the collar is a bit tighter, it's going to take a bit more fiddling. But Sony does include 2 airflow parts to help push the warm exhaust air away from your clothing. It actually feels perfect for walking around, commuting, sitting outside, traveling, even with a backpack, or even standing at events. And the best part is, your hands are completely free. And I know that sounds obvious, but it changes the whole experience. You're not constantly choosing between holding your fan, checking Google Maps, texting someone, or carrying a drink. Now we get to the most important part. Does it actually cool you down? Yes, but not in the way some people might expect. It doesn't stop you sweating if the air is blasting straight at you, and it doesn't magically turn a 40-degree street into like an air-conditioned hotel lobby. But what it does do, it takes the edge off the heat in a way sometimes a fan can't. That's actually where I think the Reon is at its best. It's for those moments where you need to stay composed. A hot train carriage, a summer commute, walking from the hotel to a wedding venue, standing outside while everyone is taking photos. It takes me back. Sitting in an office where half the room wants the air conditioning on Arctic mode and the other half wants it off completely. You can control the Reon Pocket Pro Plus manually from the app. There's cool levels and warm levels. You just pick how strong you want it. There's also smart levels, right? Which kind of controls the device based on the temperature around you. There's also a button on the device itself, which is useful if you don't want to pull out your phone. The best part about it though is the smart mode. This is where this little sensor tag comes in. Sony calls it the Reon Pocket tag, and it measures the environment around you. Temperature, humidity, sunlight, that kind of stuff. So instead of the device being on the temperature that you set it at, the tag gives it a better idea of what you're actually standing in. And that matters because temperature behind your collar might be totally different from the air around you. When you take it off, you don't actually have to turn it off because it just stops automatically. And that sounds like a small thing, but small things matter when you're actually using tech every day. Battery life on this device isn't too bad actually. Sony says that if you put it on cool level 1, it can run for 34 hours. I mean, obviously that's the gentlest setting, but I just leave it on smart and it runs for about 5-6 hours in the day, which isn't too bad, right? And you can also use it in USB power. So I've had a power bank in my backpack and I've just plugged it into this and I've just used it for a longer period than I usually could, which is pretty useful. Noise is also pretty good. It's not silent because there is a fan inside moving the heat away from you, but it's so much more quieter than blasting a handheld fan at full speed near your face. Here is the part that makes this product weirdly perfect for the UK, because it warms you up too. But this is probably what saves the Reon from being a gadget you use 3 days a year and then chuck it in a drawer. The weather here in the UK changes constantly, right? You can leave the house sweating at lunchtime and come back freezing at night because apparently British weather enjoys plot twists. The Reon Pocket Pro Plus has 4 warm levels. The same metal plate that cools you down basically heats up instead. So for winter, commuting, cold offices, outdoor filming, or standing at a train at 7 AM, wondering why you actually live so far away from the office, that warming mode could be genuinely useful. It does give you a direct patch of warmth right in the area your body's going to feel it the most. And that makes this gadget a little more interesting than a normal fan. The JisuLife is brilliant in the summer, then winter arrives and it just becomes like a fancy paperweight, right? That you're not going to use until your next holiday or the following summer. But this Sony gadget does both. That doesn't automatically make it worth the £199 or $269, but it does mean the value is not just tied to hot weather like those ice cream vans, right? You're actually buying a personal temperature control, not just for cooling. And that makes it a stronger argument. So, should you actually buy the Sony Reon Pocket Pro Plus? Here's my honest answer. If you want something cheap and powerful for the occasional hot day, then buy the JisuLife fan or keep using the one you already have. It is much cheaper, it is simple, it works instantly, but if you travel a lot, commute in hot conditions, work in an office where the temperature is always wrong, work in an outdoor job, go to summer events, or just hate feeling overheated while still needing both hands free, Sony starts to make a lot more sense. But we still have to talk about the price, because £199 or $269 is a lot of money for something people have probably never considered buying before. The JisuLife fan is definitely better value for most people, but the Sony Reon Pocket Pro Plus is the smarter, more futuristic, more hands-free solution if personal comfort matters enough for you to spend the money. And the fact that it warms you up in the winter means you aren't just going to use it as a gimmicky summer gadget. It's not essential, but it's genuinely useful. And I hate how much I like it. I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I've liked making it. Don't forget to hit like if you did, and if you want to see more videos, because I've got plenty more coming, make sure you hit subscribe because it all helps the channel. I'm Maz, and this is MazTechCentral, where I like to keep tech simple and accessible for everyone. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye.